Good afternoon. I think we are now live. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this actually last live session with Ellie. My name is Silvia. I work in the marketing department here in Ellie Publishing. I'm here just to, introduce this session and give you some, technical information, important information, I would say. So I just wanted to let you know that this session will be recorded. So it will be available in the next few weeks, also for your colleagues who couldn't make it for today, for this afternoon, for example. And during the session, you will have the opportunity to download the PDF of this presentation. Jane, kindly, our speaker, gave us, the possibility to download it. So please remember to do it before the end of the session. It's actually under the document tool you can find, document section you can find in your toolbar. Also, this session will be a very interactive one. So please remember to write down any comments, questions to Jane's answers in the questions box you can find in your toolbox. Whereas we will try to leave the bigger, let's say, bigger questions for the end of the session. So when Jane ends her presentation. Another important information is that you will all be receiving the certificate of attendance directly in your email box. Please remember, just check your the spam folder as well, because sometimes emails coming from GoToWebinar just go there. But in a couple of days, you will all receive the certificate of attendance. What else? I think I've said all the important things for the moment. So before, hand it over to Jane Cadwallader, so our speaker of today, as you can see, I just wanted to introduce her by saying that, well, she's very popular, she's very well known, but Jane has been teaching to students and especially children, but not only children, for more than 30 years. And she lives and works mainly in Spain, in Madrid, but she spends many months of the year working for an NGO in Uganda, of course, I'm afraid to say, but COVID-19 permitting, of course. For Ellie, in Ellie Publishing, she's very popular because she's written many of our grade readers from the young learner collections and teen collections. And she's also she's very fond of, writing stories for children. So that's everything now. That's all for me now. And Jane, thanks for being here, and enjoy all of you the session. And it's now over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See if I can. Okay. All right. So hello, everybody. It's really wonderful to be here. I can't see you, but I do hope that we will communicate through the
just one thing, Jane. I cannot see you. We cannot see you.
Oh, okay. Can you now?
Yes, perfectly. And then when you like to share your screen, it will be fine. Everything's fine. We can see you.
I shared my screen. Oh, sorry about that. Let me just see.
Okay.
Am I now sharing my screen?
No, you put off your camera.
Oh, wait a minute. There's my camera is on.
Okay, now it's on.
And okay. I'm sharing my screen.
Yes, now you are. Yes, perfectly.
Okay, great. So you can see me and my screen.
Yes, correct.
All right, great. Actually, I can see myself as well. I thought I wasn't going to be able to, but still, I can see myself too. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. It's really a pleasure for me. I usually get quite nervous about doing webinars, but this particular webinar, I'm really looking forward to it, because it's something that's very close to my heart, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you my ideas and also hearing from you too. So please do use the question box. Let me see, why is this not working? Oh, just a minute. See if I do it with this one. Okay, I can do it with this. All right, so The way that I've organized this webinar is to divide it into two parts. So the first part will be some general points about using readers, which I think are important. And then the second part will be activities which you can take away and use in your classrooms. So the first part is firstly why a story is important. What is the place of graded readers? How graded readers can help in language learning. Then the advantages of graded readers for online and for flipped classrooms. And then some ideas about how to choose a graded reader for your children, or how to help your children to choose a graded reader. So let's start with looking at the importance of reading. I don't know if you agree with this statement. The idea is that if you read extensively, your language learning benefits in all areas. So you develop, you learn more vocabulary. Your language, the language is like confirmed for you, and you become more fluent in speaking and especially in writing. Do you agree with that? Could you just write a little answer for me in the question box and let me know? Do you agree with that statement? I don't seem to see any. I don't know if this question box is working. Let me see.
Yes, they're writing down. Can you read them?
No, I can't read anything.
Under the questions? Not chat, but questions?
Yes, the questions. No, I haven't got any. I haven't got any. Yes, wait a minute. Now I can. Now I can see. Absolutely. Yes. Oh, good. Yes. Now I can see. Now I can see. Great. Good. Yeah, I absolutely do think that that's true. And then when you think for children, if we're going to encourage children to read extensively, the natural extensive reading for children is, of course, stories. So I wanted to share with you this this slide. I got this from a blog written by somebody who trains pharmaceutical professionals to give presentations, and I thought it was really interesting because basically what he's saying is the same things that we say in primary and secondary education. You know, stories are extensive reading, but they also help us to relate to each other. They help us to remember, because memories are linked to emotions. And they help us to use our brains on different levels at the same time. So we're using kind of creative thought at the same time as logical thought. So they're helping us to use our brains more effectively. And I thought this was interesting because I do think that that education in the 21st century is going more and more towards preparing our children, our students, for life in the future, including work. And I thought it was interesting that actually getting children engaged in stories and reading stories and telling stories is actually also preparing them for future life, even if they're not going to be pharmaceutical professionals, that it is helping them to be able to present ideas. And also, of course, for young learners, being able to read opens their horizons to new worlds, to new characters and settings and contexts, which otherwise they might never see in their everyday life. So this quote of Dr. Soates, the more you read, the more you will know, the more you know, the more places you will go, I think is really really true and really relevant for us as as teachers. So, what stories can we get our children to read? Well, this is a very interesting paradigm by Nuttall, which I think is actually, in my experience, is true. If you don't understand, you read slowly. If you read slowly, you don't enjoy reading, and you don't read much. So it's very important that when children read, they understand what they're reading. I want to give you an example from my own experience. When I was in Spain, I'd been in Spain for about 4 years, and my husband gave me a book to read by a very famous Spanish author called Pure Baroja. It was called Las Inquietudes de Shanti Andia. And I still remember the name because it was such an experience for me. I picked it up, I tried to read it, I found it so difficult I had to put it down. And actually I didn't read in Spanish for some time after that. And I think that that is a very relevant experience because, you know, we have to make sure that that children are not put off reading because what they read is too difficult. If they start trying to read authentic text, they probably have the same experience as I had with Pure Baroja. So what we want to do is we want to get it so that, oh no, I noticed, so that we get our children on the virtuous cycle of the good reader, which means that they understand better, they read faster, they enjoy reading, and they read more. I think you would agree with me that that is very important. So for me, a graded reader is the stepping stones between not reading and being able to read authentic texts. Probably if my husband had given me a graded reader of Pure Baroja, I might have very well enjoyed it and gone on to read a lot more. So that I think is the place of the graded reader. Because unlike a textbook story, it's longer, it's more like an authentic story in that the characters are often more developed and the storyline is more developed, and it's more like a real book. And they can be used for independent extensive reading. They can also be used if you get a class set. They can be used to develop reading and other skills which help children to be more effective independent readers. And at the same time, it's very motivating, I think, for children to read a whole book, to read a book in English that they can show their parents, say, look, I read this book, it's in English, and I read the whole book. So I think that is very important. Could you let me know, the people, do you use readers in class now? Can you let me know whether this is something you do? To just put it in the question box. Let me see. I don't think the question box is, oh, maybe it's me. Oh yeah, agree. Okay, true, good. I think we're okay, good, great. All right. Yes, now I can see your comments. Wonderful. And it's lovely to see so many names from around from different parts of the world. Great. Okay, so what kind of readers are there? Well, there's the classics, the adapted classics, where they take a book like The Jungle Book and make it, or The Canterville Ghost, and make it accessible to learners. Or there are these original stories which are written specifically for this market. But also for teachers who are interested in children learning more about the world around them and doing it in English, you can find books which are documentary. These two books are about, one is about water, the importance of water and the effect that water has on children in different parts of the world. And the other is about different types of forest, again in different parts of the world. And these books are actually documentary, and at the same time there's a story inside them. But they both help to introduce children and to get children interested in the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Then Ellie has a very good series of books about children in different parts of the world, spoken through the voice of those children. And as we said at the beginning, one of the good things about reading is opening eyes to wider horizons. And very often, not understanding another culture and not understanding other people is what leads to intolerance. So these books, I think, are very important because children can see that in many ways they're similar. In some ways they're different, and in some ways they're similar. And they can learn about children in other cultures and how they live and how they go to school and what toys they play with. I think this is a very important thing for children to do. And again, it links into the Sustainable Development Goals. Ellie has one for a series for primary and also a series for secondary school students. Okay, another thing that I wanted to say about graded readers is that they're great for the online classroom or for the flipped classroom. For the people who don't know what, I'm sure you know what a flipped classroom is, but just in case. A flipped classroom is the traditional classroom. You would read the book in the class and give them activities to do at home. A flipped classroom changes that round. So they read at home and you do the activities in class. In an online class, you can give them work to do on the asynchronous platform, so they do that work at home. And then in the synchronous platform, when you're with all the children on the screen, you can work on the and what I suggest you do. This is what I do in my classes. On the asynchronous platform, I put a recording of the chapter or of the section of the book that we're working on, so that the children can listen and read at the same time. That often helps understanding. Or they can listen to the story and then read it, or they can read it and then listen to it. I also give them a vocabulary list of the words I think that it would be good for them to learn in that chapter. And I give them some comprehension and language activities. And then in the synchronous class, or in the face-to-face class, if you're back at school, you can go over the activities and you can play games and do speaking activities and writing activities. And that's what we're going to look at in the second part of this webinar, because many of the activities we're going to look at would be fine for this type of class. Now, it's very important that you choose and you help your children to choose the right book. This 5-finger rule is used a lot in America by American teachers, and it's a very simple way to decide whether a book is linguistically right or not for your children. If your children are going to be reading alone at home, like they're going to do it on the asynchronous platform, then you want to make sure that there's between 0 and 3 words on the page, no more, that are new for the children. If you're doing it in class, where you're going to be able to scaffold them more, help them more, and maybe do some work on working out unknown words from context, then you can do it with a few more, like 4 or 5 words. That's very important, because it means that you have to choose the book that you choose, or that you lead your children to choose, needs to be one that is appropriate for the kind of learning that they're going to be doing with it. Is that clear? Okay, so that's the end of the first part of this webinar. I hope if there's any questions, you will put them in the question box, And at the end, Sylvia's going to collect them all, and at the end we'll have a look and see if we can answer some of them. I want to go on now to the second part of the talk, which is the activities. Okay, so we're going to look at some activities which you can take away with you from the talk. So these activities, what is the purpose? The purpose is to help our children be good readers. So if we go back to Nuttall's circle, virtuous circle, we want them to become good readers. What is a good reader? What does a good reader use? Well, the first thing he uses is imagination. The ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to imagine yourself in the setting, to imagine what the person feels, what you would feel in that situation, what you think is going to happen next. So imagination is very important, and firing children's imaginations is a very important part of helping them to be a good reader. It's also good to activate humour, because humour and imagination actually very often go together, I think. Another thing that you need to develop are thinking skills. So the children's ability to analyse, to question, to think about possibilities, their ability to evaluate, to have hypotheses and test those hypotheses, and to have opinions about while they're reading. And then their ability to organise the thoughts and maybe come up with a different idea or a different approach. So creative. And then we need to help them to develop strategies. And this might be as simple as how to use visuals to help them understand, how to bring previous knowledge to what they're reading to help them to understand what they're reading. Also, what to do with unknown words. What do I do if I come across a word I don't understand? Things like helping them to if they get stuck and they can't understand a paragraph, to go back and read the first sentence, because the first sentence is often the topic sentence, which gives you the main point of the paragraph. Or what happens to me a lot when I'm reading, because I tend to not read, I tend to not have an awful lot of time, is I forget who a character is. So teaching them to scan back, to look for information that will help them to understand what they're reading at the present that they're stuck with. So those are the sort of things that we want to, the sort of things that we want our activities to help children to develop. So let's have a look at some activities. First of all, pre-reading. When we give activities before reading, usually it's because we want to inspire the children to give them an idea of what they're going to read so that they want to read it. It could also be that we want to give them some help with vocabulary and language so that they can read more fluently. So let's have a look at this activity, and you can write the answers in the answer box. Let me see if I can read them. First of all, where is she? Where is this little girl? Can you answer that? Where is she? Good. In a wood. Great. Yeah. Great. In the forest. Good. Exactly. And what can you see behind a tree? Okay, in the woods. A wolf. Good. A wolf. Now, do you think that wolf is good or bad? A bird. You see a bird as well. That's true. Is there a bird? Ah, yes, there's a bird sitting on a hat. But behind the tree, there's a wolf. And is the wolf good or bad, do you think? Bad. Yeah, no, he's bad. He's bad. Oh, yes. Bad, of course. Yeah, he seems like, oh, somebody thinks it's a good, well, that you're going to find out when you read the story if he's a good wolf or a bad wolf. Okay, good. So by the time the children begin to read, they know it's about a little girl in a wood dressed in red, and there's a wolf that could possibly be bad. So that gives them something that gives them some hypotheses to test as they're reading. Another thing you can do is to give them a picture of the main character in the book. This is Granny Fix-It. And with higher levels, you can ask them to write what they imagine she's like, just from the visual. What do they imagine? With lower levels, you can give them a list. And this list I like because it's like they have to say what they think, they don't think, and they don't know. So they have to think a little bit about it. And then what you can do when they've filled in what they think, as they're reading, they can go back to this list and change it. I thought she was boring, but she's not boring. So I'll change my opinion there. Another thing you can do is that you give them a list of the elements in a story. And they have to invent their own story using those elements. And then they compare their story, the story that they've developed, with the actual story. Does anybody know what do you think this story is? Somebody has already read it, because I saw somebody read this. But what do you think that this story is? Do you know the story? Does anybody know? Very good. Sylvia Sacomandi has got the right answer. Good, good, good. Oh, about Vikings. Could be, but no, not about Vikings. It is, as they said, Macbeth, that very dark, dark tale. Good. Right, another thing you can do is that you can give them a picture from the middle of the story. So, and then they have to invent what happened before and what's going to happen afterwards. How did the children get onto that beach with Granny Fix-It? What happened? Why did they go there? And then, very interestingly, look at the ball going into the cave. What do you think is inside the cave? What do you think is inside the cave? Has anybody any ideas? Let me see. An animal, somebody says. Okay, could be an animal. Which animal? Let's see, anybody else has any ideas? What's inside the cave? A dangerous creature, a bear, some sort of a portal, good, going into another world maybe. And oh, now I can see you've got great imaginations. Okay, a hermit, a Komodo dragon, a mermaid. Wonderful, great, you have really good ideas. Well, I'm not going to tell you, you'll have to read it to find out. Okay, so you see how by asking them that question, we're activating their imaginations and they want to find out what is inside the cave. All right, let's see the next, a hole to another world, exactly. Okay, another thing you can get them to do is to find out about the life of the author of the book they're reading. You know, when did she live? Where did she live? Did she have any children? You know, can you find a photo of her? Any other book she's written? Has the story been made into a film? You know, and you can get them to predict from the information that they've got, what sort of book do you think it's going to be? Is it going to be a funny book or a horror story? And if the story's been made into a film, maybe they'd like to see the film and compare the film to the story that they're reading. All right, so now we come on to while reading activities. While reading activities usually we don't want the children to lose the thread of the story, or we want to work on some aspect of vocabulary or grammar as they're reading the story. Also, we can read together. You know, that doesn't have to be a boring activity. It can be a fun activity. And I wanted to show you a couple of activities that you can do when you're reading together. One thing is you can get a section of the children to read the text, and you can divide the other children into in this case, into two groups. One group is Robin, the robot, and one group is PB3, the ET, the extraterrestrial. Okay, so I'll read it, and then please decide if you're Robin or PB3. And I know I won't be able to hear you, but you can read out loud the part of your character, the speech bubble of your character. Okay, Robin makes some special paint. It's paint that you can use under the water. She uses earth colors. There's purple, pink, orange, blue, green, red, brown, and yellow paint. PB3 is catching the fish, and Robin is painting them. Okay, over to you. Okay, very good. I hope you did that. I hope you've closed your door, actually, because we are going to do some things that you might not want your family to hear you doing. All right, so you can work with intonation, with expression and intonation with the children when they're doing the speech bubbles. Another thing you can do is, especially when you're reading it for the second time, is you can say, you can do these two what did you say activities. The first one, I am going to leave some words out, and I'd like you to write in the question box, write the word that I haven't read. So read and listen. And then if I forget a word, please let me know. Children like to help teachers, and I hope you're going to help me with the words that I forget. Robin makes some paint. Good, good, good. Robin makes some special paint. It's paint that you can use. She uses colors. Let's see that I did two then. See if you've got what I messed out. Under the water, good. Under the water, great. She uses colors. Good, earth colors. Thank you. She uses earth colors. Okay, now I'm going to read it again, but this time I'm a very absent-minded teacher, and I'm going to make some mistakes. So please, if you see my mistake, please help me. Robin makes some special paint. It's paint that you can use under the fridge. Let me see what you're saying. It's paint that she can use under the fridge. Okay, water, very good, good. She uses earth colors. There's black and purple. Under the bridge, very good. That somebody is good. Okay. She uses earth colors. There's black. Not black, good, not black. No. Oh, sorry, not black. There's purple and pink and brown. No brown, all right, very good. Okay, you can see, I mean, here there's a big delay between you and you, not brown, good. There's a big delay between what I say and what you say, but in class, they're very quick at putting you right. And that gives you an opportunity for the children to read and listen more than once to the story. All right, now we're going to play a game. I think it's time that we moved a bit. So we're going to play a game. We're going to actually dance. So you either stand up and dance, or you can dance in your seat. Okay, I'm going to put some music and I want you to dance. Okay, are you ready?
Jerusalem,
okay, was everybody dancing? Now we're going to continue dancing, but I am going to say words. If I say a word that's related to gardens or nature, I want you to continue dancing. But if I say a word that is not related to gardens or nature, I want you to freeze. Okay, have you got it? So if I say grass, you dance. If I say museum, you stop. Have you got that? Okay, so you stop until I say another word which is related to earth and garden, and then you can dance again. I mean, I can't even see myself, so I'm going to do it with you, because just to help you, because I can't see you, because I don't know whether you understand or not. So I'll do it with you. Okay, so here we go. Are you ready? Breeze. Flowers. Fruit. Kitchen. Doctor. Bird. Gardener. Boat. Chair. Box. Leaves. Well, I hope you understood that and that you did it. Did you understand? You just tell me, because it's terribly difficult when I can't see you. Yes, we dance with grass. Good. Stop. Good. Good. Yes. Good. Good. Oh, it's so difficult when I can't see you. All right. Great. Another game is this other game, which is a stand up, sit down game. This one, I am going to say some words. When you can either stand up and sit down, or you can put your hands up, put your hands down. So you're going to put your hands up when I say a regular verb, hands down, an irregular verb in the past. So regular past verb, up. Irregular past verb, down. You got that? So here we go. Let's practice. Listened. Learned. Met. Slept. Talked. Listened. Told. Decided. Okay, have you got it? Have you got how the game works? All right, so now we're going to do the same, but I'm going to read from the book. So I'm going to read the story. When you hear a regular past verb, you put your arms up. When you hear an irregular past verb, put them down. Okay, are you ready? And we're not counting was, eh? We'll say this is just kind of regular and, well, we should say, should we count what? No, we're not counting was, okay. Mowgli stayed in the village. He didn't like it. Mowgli looked. He listened. He learned. He learned the laws of people. He learned to look after cows. he learned to look after the fire. Every evening, Mowgli met his brother wolves in secret near the village. Every evening they talked while the village slept. They told him about the jungle. One evening they told him Shere Khan was back. Mowgli decided to kill the great tiger. Okay, did you do that? Did you do that? Did you understand? And the same activity, which is actually getting children to use physical response, total physical response, to use their bodies to show their understanding. You can do it with there is and there are. I'm sure you can think of other things. There is, there are, can and can't, this and that. So it's a way of getting them to have fun with language and to while they're reading. Okay, so after reading activities, a lot of activities you'll find in your readers are activities that develop grammar awareness and vocabulary. This first one is a very good one for Spanish speakers, because Spanish speakers tend to make question by saying an affirmative with a little bit of an intonation rise at the end. So they'll say, you went to Paris. You met a man. You were happy. So this is to get them to actually make to develop making questions in English with in the past with who did you hear, what did you do? So it's the past simple and was. In this one, the children have to find words for these they have to find words for the pictures outside the word box, and then they have to think of, they have to put them into categories, and they have to think of other words, so that they're actually being asked to think a bit. Firstly, which word goes with which picture, but then how do I categorize them, and what other words do I know in the same category? And then in this last activity, this is really fun, because what they have is just getting them to bring their previous knowledge to the activity, because they have to decide whether these animals live all or almost all in oceans and seas, or rivers and lakes, or they can be in both. So let me see, I'm going to test you here. Let me just see. What about penguins? Can you write, where do penguins live? Seas or rivers? Can you just write? Seas or rivers for penguins? Let me see. Seas. Okay, good. Everybody says seas. Oceans. Yeah, great. What about crocodiles? Seas or rivers? Seas, rivers, 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 rivers. Oh, good. Well done, Sylvia. Sylvia's got the right answer. They can be in both. Interestingly, after the webinar, look it up, because I found it very interesting that actually some crocodiles live in the sea. I didn't know that. Anyway, that's an interesting, it's a nice activity. Developing comprehension. These two children are very different, so they're asked to remember or to think, knowing what they're like, what animals do they like and what activities do they like. And then this activity at the bottom, who said this? In this case, it's a comprehension activity, because they have to remember who said these things. But higher levels, you can get them to predict who would say that according to their character. So for example, the little boy, he likes playing with computers. So you could say, oh, I'm playing with my computer tonight. And you'd know it was Tony. Okay. Let me see another activity. All right. So these activities very often help children to develop their thinking skills. The best activities are activities which are not just linguistic, but which also help them to develop their thinking skills, because in that way they're becoming better readers. So does this happen in the story? They have to think. Does it happen? They have to evaluate these sentences. Does that happen? And how can I justify that? So I'm sure someone is a bully in this, because it is a true story of bullying and friendship. So someone must be a bully. So like, who's the bully and how do I know? And how can I explain it? So I'm developing at the same time my evaluation and fluency. Is it a fact or an opinion? I'm afraid that I think that a lot of politicians in our modern world could do activities like this. So because very often they seem to confuse facts and opinions. So we won't do this now. We'll just do the first couple. Both stories about orphans. So is that a fact or an opinion? Can you just put, is it a fact or an opinion? Fact, good. Okay. What about the nicest character in the Jungle Book is the wolf mother? Is that a fact or an opinion? Good. Exactly. Exactly. We won't do the others, but can you see the activity? The activity is getting them to, it's not so much whether it's true or it's false. It's more, is this actually a fact or is it what somebody's opinion of the book is? This is another similar activity, the journey to the center of the earth, where they go down into the center of the earth. There's a lot of fantasy, but there are some things which are real, like the stalactites and the stalagmites. So it's asking the children to think what's possible and what's just fiction. Then this question is a bit similar to the one where you're asking, is there someone who's a bully? But what you're doing here is asking them to evaluate and give an opinion and to defend that opinion. And at the same time, you're getting them to call on what they know from their intra and inter emotional intelligence. No. So this is which I think is a very important thing for them to do, and also again makes them better readers, because to appreciate how somebody feels helps you to understand the story. Okay, then creative. They can write a song or a poem about the story, or they can prepare a presentation about something in relation to the story. In this case, forests and woods near you. So then what they're doing is organizing the thoughts, taking things from the story, organizing them, and then creating something new from it. This is an activity that I like very much. They can choose and bring in music that represents the characters. So this is linking emotional intelligence with music, with the story. So in this case, maybe they would bring in, for the character who's bullied, maybe they would bring in some kind of sad or nostalgic music. And for the children who are bullying, some aggressive, loud, aggressive music. So it makes them gives a new dimension to their thinking. Then they can write a continuation of the story. What happens after the story? And we hope in this case it's a very happy thing that happens after the story. This is another one that I really like. Which of the characters would you like as a friend? Now, these two characters are very different. So you can ask them, which one would you like? Which is the one that for you is more like you'd like to maybe play with? And write a dialogue between you and the character. Then you can get them to tell the story from the point of view of one of the characters. So this is very important, because this is asking them to put themselves in the shoes of one of the characters. And depending on the character, the story will be very different. In this case, especially, it's not going to be the same if it's the story from the point of view of Macduff or the story from the point of view of Macbeth. Or Coffee Talk, where children invented dialogue in which a minor character, a character that wasn't very important in the story, he tells the story to a friend, and then he'll also be giving opinions like, oh, he behaved very badly, or he made a terrible mistake. So here, this is really for your teens, for your older children. You're getting them to make value judgments and support those value judgments at the same time as working on fluency. Cultural ideas. This is a story of a little girl in Uganda who meets a snake on the way to school and drops her lunchbox. She's so frightened, she drops her lunchbox, and some of her friends come to help her. So you can ask children, could this story happen in your country? Can you find 2 or 3 things which are similar? So maybe in your country, children wear uniform to school. Maybe they walk to school. Maybe they walk with their friends to school. So they look for things which are similar and things which are different. And then they can retell the story using a setting and characters from your own country. So you're getting them to create, to organize their thought, to organize the story and retell it using their own a character and a setting from their own context and their own culture. Here's another activity for comparing cultures, where you think, is this true for me and Nyangoma? Just for Nyangoma and not for me, or just for me and not for Nyangoma? So I'm 12 years old. That could be true for both of them. We have computers at home. That might be true for you, but it's not true for Nyangoma. So they go through and basically what they're doing is finding things which are similar as well as things which are different, which is what's so important for understanding and appreciating other cultures. And here what they do is they write the answers for themselves, and then they compare it with the little Russian boy that this story is about. All right, and finally, for the artistic children, and because it's important to make sure that all learning styles and all all different children learn is included in what we do, they can design a t-shirt or a backpack or an umbrella with a picture and a slogan. In this case, the slogan could be, think before you act. You'll have to read the book to find out why that's true, but that could be the slogan. Or they can design a billboard. They can make the book into a film themselves and design a billboard with a picture and maybe change the title, think of a new title for the film. Okay, well, I hope that you have enjoyed this. I hope that there's some ideas that you can take away from this and use in your own classes. And I just wanted to say very quickly a few words about sources and further research. So the audio and the video files for all the books that you've seen, which are Ellie titles, can be found at that link there, which you can, I think you're all getting a PDF of this presentation, so you can get it from there. And you will also find the Ellie Graded Reader's Guide for Teachers has got lots of ideas which you can use. Other sources, there's a blog that I wrote for the Young Learner and Teen Special Interest Group of IATEFL, which has some of these ideas and some other ideas in it. Also, there's Reading Rockets, this link to Reading Rockets. There's 103 things to do before, during, or after reading. So, you know, you won't be short of things to do. And this last source I found a few years ago, and it is really a wonderful source of activities, of imaginative and different activities. It's the State of Israel, Ministry of Education, the Reading for Pleasure Practical Guide. It's a very interesting, very good very good source. And lastly, that's just the reference for the for what we started off the talk by saying that how important extensive reading was for our children. Okay, so let me see if I can get rid of this and get back to at least seeing myself. Let me see. Deja de mostrar pantalla there. Let me see. There I am. Back I am. Let me see. Just put that off. Okay, so let me see where is. I hope that. What have I done? Have I done something terrible now? Definitely not. No. I wonder where Sylvia is.
Yeah, I'm here, Jane. I'm here.
Oh, good. Okay.
No worries. No,
okay.
it's fine. So you stop the sharing, the screen sharing, so it's fine. Can you access the questions window?
Yes, I have got the questions, but I can't. An opinion, very interesting. Okay. Are there any questions? Thank you very much.
There are lots of, congratulations and compliments, to you and to the session, but not at the moment.
Okay,
there is specific questions. Let's see.
Okay. Well, that's good actually, because I was worried that we were a bit late. I think, oh dear, we don't have much time for questions. So if there aren't any questions, that makes life a lot easier. If you do think of questions that you would like to ask, please feel free to send them in to Ellie, and I'm sure Ellie will pass them on to me, and I'll be very happy to answer any specific questions that you may have.
Yes, I'm writing down now the email where teachers can actually send their questions.
Okay. What should I do to encourage my teenage students to read? Okay, well, the first thing to do to encourage your teenage students to read is to find out what they're interested in. And then find a book, find a reader that would inspire them and that they would be interested in. And make sure that you use one that is very easy. Maybe not with 0 words they don't understand, but it should be something which doesn't put them off, because if the one thing that really puts people off reading in a foreign language is when it's too difficult. So it's better to err on the side of too easy than too difficult. And I think, maybe if you haven't tried one of those Ellie books about, because sometimes teenagers don't want to read stories. They'd rather read something that's more documentary. So you may find that those the Ellie series of real children, that you may find that they would be interested in that. You could say to them, listen, there's these books about real children in other countries. There's one about Russia, and there's one in Japan, and there's one in Iceland. What countries would you be interested in reading about? So that might be a way to go. I mean, it is true that teenagers quite often don't want to read. They don't want to read stories, but they will read something that's more kind of about real life, or about the way a child lives in another part of the world. So that would be my advice. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Thank you, Jane. So let's see.
Children are easy. Oh, really? Must be a very good teacher, because I think if you think children are easy, then you must be a good teacher, because children can actually be very challenging.
In the meantime, while we wait for another few minutes, I just wanted to remind again to download the PDF of the presentation before we end this session. So it's under the documents, or depending on the language used in your platform. So it's a document section. And then from, Ellie point of view, Ellie perspectives, I'll invite you all to browse and visit the website elliegradedreaders.com just to find, out more.
And for me, enjoy your graded readers. It is the stepping stone, and it does mean, because if you just do work in class, it depends how many hours you have with your children, but if they can actually read on their own outside class, it's a treasure chest for their language development.
And it makes our lives, mom's life, easier, I would say, if they are a little bit of, self-independent,
I think you might like my somebody's written that they like my necklace. This is because I love I spend a lot of my life in Uganda, and I love Uganda, and this is a map of Africa with a little sapphire where Uganda is. I wear it.
It's beautiful. Okay. So I think that's all for today.
Yes, somebody said an interesting thing. I generally suggest readers on their summer break. Absolutely. Again, 5-finger rule. Don't give them one that's too difficult because they won't read it. But as a great idea, you can give them the reader over the summer break, along with activities to do with them, and get them to develop their thinking skills and their comprehension and their vocabulary at the same time as enjoying a book in English. It's a great idea. Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure. I wish I'd been able to see you, but I am, as I'm quite a good reader, I am imagining all of you at the other side of the screen. Otherwise, I think it would have been very difficult. But it has been a pleasure to spend this time with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jane, and thank you, everyone.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.